Welcome to The Walking Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
And I'm Aaron.
And tonight we're discussing Season 4, Episode 10, entitled Inmates. One of our least favorite episodes of this half season. There's only been 2.
That's a diplomatic way to put it, I suppose.
Yeah. It may have been one of your least favorite episodes of a lot of the seasons that we've had, right?
I had some debates with the listeners in email, and, because some people are, like, chiding me for hyperbole, and I'm like, if I say something's the best ever, that generally means that it could be put on the top 10 list of episodes for that show. That's what I try to say. Or if I say it's top 10 and I just listed 11 episodes, then somebody just got bumped. And if I say it's, like, the worst, then it's in the top 10 bottom. I would say that this show would probably fit into the top 10 worst. I think I could fit. I think I got room for it there.
Yeah, it might. I don't know. The second time I watched it, I was a little less critical of it. And I'm not sure if that was kind of me bending to the will of some of the audience members, or if that was because I just wasn't as offended seeing things for the second time because I knew they were coming and I knew they were going to be stupid.
Yeah.
The instant take brings out a lot of our emotional reactions to the episodes. Whereas if we go back and we look at them kind of analytically, we see a lot of different perspectives.
And in our defense, we had just finished doing 13 podcasts and had been up for more than we should at our age. And
they were excellent shows, right?
Yeah, and House of Cards Season 2 is on the whole pretty excellent. By the way, we did the whole Season 2 in instant cast form. If you're plowing through that Netflix, so check it out on baldmove.com. And then you hit this turd sandwich at the 10th hour or the 11th hour, and I was just no mas.
I'm not going to say that it was a good episode by any means. I think there were so many just ridiculous, dumb things in this episode that it was a bad episode of The Walking Dead. I don't know that I would call it the worst ever. There were some things in Season 2 where I just wanted to pull my hair out.
Oh, no,
it's so bad.
It's not the worst ever episode.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's probably at number 8, 9, or 10 for me.
All right.
I went
Fair
through
enough.
Wikipedia and I looked at the list of episodes. I'm like, what would be my top 10? I compiled that and, and then I'd be like, what would be my bottom 10? And that was trickier because I think that most Walking Dead is above average to average with, probably 8 to 10 great episodes, some 2 or 3 classic episodes. But the bottom, it's very rarely does it just crater into the ground and, explode like so many jetliners. It's, it'd be tough to come up with a bottom 5 for me. Like just turd. Like I look at the title and I want to kill myself. So I don't know if it's
the frogs, man.
I don't know if it's that bad, but anyway.
Okay, well, maybe we should get into the recap and we can talk about some of the things we like. Actually, I know some people emailed in and said, "Oh man, I had to turn it off. I couldn't even listen to you guys." And they turned it off 10 minutes in. Well, 10 minutes is about where we start to talk about the things that we liked about the episode.
Yeah, maybe next time we should reverse. Back that thing up, flip it, and reverse it, and do what we liked first, and then save the worst for last. But in my mind, it was hard to get past the Tyrese group. I'm going to call it.
Oh yeah.
So
sure. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about Beth and Daryl first, so you don't have to worry about that just yet.
Okay.
So we start off with Beth reading her diary over some scenes of them running through the woods, her and Daryl, and this journal is very optimistic about finding this prison, and that's kind of the time frame it happens in. It's they're settling down with this new building. They can plant crops and they can live there forever and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I like this particular journal entry overlaid over what we know just happened with the prison.
Yep.
It did not turn out anything like Beth hoped it would and like Herschel hoped it would.
Yeah. I actually like that conceit, and I kind of wish that they used it more. But the way that this was almost like, this felt like a Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episode, where they're just like, it's like a mini anthology in one episode, where you had a whole bunch of stuff that didn't have anything to do with the other. And I think that conceit would have worked better had it been something to where it was contributing thematically to the arc of the episode, rather than something that was just like, wow, look how fucked up things turned out compared to where they thought they'd be.
I'm not totally sure that it doesn't have something thematic going on here, because I know Herschel was a very strong figure in this group, and he was kind of throughout last half of the season the voice of hope the entire time. And kind of always has been, I mean, he's a man of faith, and that's kind of where his perspective lies.
All right.
He has rubbed off on so many people in this group. I mean, there's stuff in here that shows that Glenn had obviously very much respect for the guy, and kind of picked up some of those torches. Maggie, Beth, I mean, both of those girls have been instilled with this sense of hope from their father, and I think that's one of the themes coming right off of his death that we're trying to see here.
Sure.
And that blends perfectly with that diary entry, I think.
Okay.
So I actually thought, like you said, that diary entry is really good. There were also some really cool shots here, like the crickets and the spider webs I liked, and then you get some fungus on some trees, and just showing you kind of how these characters feel at the moment, Also, Daryl took... So what's up with Daryl here? He's obviously mopey. He's not having fun. Did he take Herschel's death hard, or just the separation of the group and the destruction of the prison?
I don't know. I was trying to figure that on the second watch, and I think it's like one of those things where Daryl is trying to war. His default mode is like pessimism and thinking the world's shit, and he'd be better off on his own. And, many times we've seen where that his better nature wins out, and he trusts the people he's with and starts to rely on them, and he sees them as a source of family. But Carol just got banished. The prison just got, bum rushed and fucked. And now he's stuck with Beth, who's trying to, force him back into that savior role. And he just wants to sit and kind of, space out a little bit. And I think it's just a little much for him to deal with. What was your take?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like with the rest of the kind of hope theme that's going through this episode, and Herschel in particular, that Daryl really took Herschel's death hard. And I don't know how much of it is that or the prison, but it's probably a lot of both at play here.
Right.
So then, like you said, Beth is trying to convince Daryl to track down the others and get back up off his ass. And she decides, I'm going to go out and track him if you're not. And so Daryl begrudgingly follows her.
In the middle of the night.
Sure. And Daryl, he's got to be thinking, God, this is so dumb. So dumb. This is bullshit. Don't go out there. You kidding me?
And the other thing is, I don't get to criticize Daryl's survival skills very often, but camping in the middle of the woods with a roaring fire at night seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, these people seem to like the woods. I mean, later Carol says, "Hey, we should stick to the woods" or whatever when they suggest the tracks.
Are there no houses within like a walk? I mean, with all the signs, dire warnings about not picking up hitchhikers because they could be inmates, you'd think that this was a resident. There's some residents around here, and like any kind of shithole house with walls and doors would be better than the open woods as far as walker protection. Sure. It's going to be novel. I get to criticize Daryl in a survival review. I don't think that's ever happened before.
All right. Maybe he just couldn't. They weren't able to find one before dark came. For night.
Man, I don't know. I expect him to like bust out a Joe Teddy / Cody London style wigwam lean to. I mean, I've seen those dudes make one in like an hour, and you can't tell me that Daryl doesn't sit around in his trailer watching shit like Dual Survivor and Survivor Man and Man vs. Wild. If his long walks as a boy when his dad kicked his ass and kicked him out, if he wasn't making that shit in the woods, and I don't know. Don't buy it.
Fair enough.
Better yet,
a
tree stand.
So then Daryl finds some tracks, and he's kind of pessimistic about the chances of finding these people after like 5 hours or so. But Beth is pretty sure they're still alive, so she runs off after him. They find some berries. They find some walker tracks. Beth gets attacked. Whole bunch of stuff here.
Beth gets attacked.
Yeah, we'll just gloss right over that. Who cares? But I feel like really Beth is the safest person in this entire scenario at this point, because she is with Daryl, and despite Daryl's mopiness, even mopey Daryl is a badass.
Yeah, Daryl giving 10% of his shit is better than everyone else giving 110%.
Absolutely.
Because and on the other side of things, you got Tyrese being like, I hear the sound. You two girls stay here and watch this baby. Why run off and God knows where and what direction? So
that's the thing.
Daryl
is so selfless. Like, even if Daryl himself is in danger, if Beth is in danger, Daryl's going to run over and help her first.
He can't help himself.
Yeah. So good on Daryl, and I feel like Beth, you're super safe. Don't worry about yourself.
Will the Walking Dead ever give up the stealth zombie business? And they upped the ante here, where they had a stealth zombie that was making crashing through the woods noises from 10 feet away that Beth couldn't triangulate on.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever give that up. I'm honestly giving up criticizing that at this point, because what's the point? It happens like every episode.
If they're in a structure and a door shut, okay, but I just feel like maybe she should have used the sleeves she ripped off of her shirt and fashioned them into a Q-tip and cleaned out her fucking ears, because I just cannot believe she didn't hear that guy coming.
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable, but what are you going to do?
Piss and moan about it on a podcast, apparently.
Fair enough. So they find some railroad tracks where there are walkers eating bodies. They kill them all, and they find a child's shoe, and Beth just loses her shit.
So people are like, why did you hate this episode? And here's why I think it was more of a jumbled mess. So they held up this shoe, and it's a little shoe, and I'm guessing that Beth recognized it, or else I don't really know why she's losing her shit. Because this is the same girl whose boyfriend / slam piece / whatever gets killed going to the Piggly Wiggly, and she gives zero fucks. She's like explicitly hardened about that. And she, prison gets ransacked, her father gets beheaded, doesn't know if her sister's dead or not. And she's like all a ball of fire, but she sees a bloody shoe and just loses her shit. I don't know why. And that's like, it's starting to get old to me, because think about all the times Skylar White on Breaking Bad lost her shit. Did you ever wonder, gee, where did that come from? I don't understand. It seems like that isn't consistent with her character.
Never.
When Don Draper fucking breaks down and gets like teary rimmed eyes, do you ever think and wonder, what is he thinking? Why is this reaction? Where's it coming from? Like,
Never.
At some point, watching people cry and get all snot and bubbly doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It's just yet another stealth zombie attack. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't have any effect on me, because they seem like they're not real people. I can't pin their motivations. And I don't know, like what is the writer and director thinking when they're looking at that scene? Well, we've got some kind of, and it turns out that they didn't even know these people.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the same group that like sees a hitchhiker begging for his life on the road, runs right past him, and on the way back scavenges his body without even stopping. I just would like to see some consistency in the way these people behave, so I can start to identify them and feel their same emotions.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what that scene was about, and I don't know what to say about it. Therefore,
I mean, yeah. Anyway, I think we should move on.
Yeah, we should. So they finish the diary entry over a scene of them sitting around the campfire, and Beth is ripping out blank journal pages and throwing them into the fire. She can't do that too much longer. She's going to run out of pages. Do you think she's still going to write in that diary?
I don't know. That's interesting. I actually was surprised to see her ripping out blank entries because I was expecting her to like be ripping out the written entries as another kind of like nihilistic statement on her point of view, and I thought actually that was a missed opportunity. Like beginning of the episode, Beth, I could, and especially if if Daryl had been like, "You burning your diary? That's bullshit," and she's like, "I'm just burning the empty pages, Daryl. You silly,
not the ones about you,
yeah,
Daryl."
I'm saving those and putting the kiss on each page." And then at the end of the episode, her dead-eyed feeding like the written happy-go-lucky with eyes dotted with hearts pages into the fire. That would have been kind of cool. But her just sitting around burning blank pages of diary again. What the fuck am I supposed to think about that?
So I don't know.
That's a problem.
Because I want to say that, I want to say that she is deciding not to write in her journal again. Because she only writes it when she's happy, but we know that's not true.
Right.
She wrote in it when her boyfriend just got slaughtered by walkers. Right. So I don't know. I really don't know why the blank pages, because I think it works much better as you described.
I think here's another. And this is sometimes I've said this. It seems like at least once a season. I feel like this episode was stitched together from 3 other different episodes, and it suffered a lot in the editing.
It could be,
because there's a lot of stuff that just, like ideas like the shoe that looks exactly like Mika's shoe that they actually zoom in on later on in the Mika, Tyrese, Lizzie part of the episode. But there's no payoff. It doesn't go anywhere. And even the way they kind of played with the timeline, I thought that was cool until I realized that, shit, it didn't really go anywhere because Tyrese and Mika and all them, they weren't on the train tracks. No one died here. It was just some dumb fuck that we never even knew about. Yeah. And I'll get to more of my objections to that scene when we get there. But
so if they wanted to do that shoe scene right, they needed to show Mika's close up on her shoe first,
or not at all.
I don't know what the hell
because
it means.
I think the shoe thing just didn't work because there was no relation to anyone that Beth knew. And there again, you could say, well, she didn't know that, but that's the other thing. I'm getting kind of sick and tired of Walking Dead doing the Carol's dead. Nope, she's in the catacombs. Judith's dead. Nope, Tyrese has got her. Mika's shoes got chewed up. Nope, Mika survives. It's like, Glenn's dead in the bus. Nope, Glenn's still in the prison. There's only so many times you can do that before any time. I already don't believe that you're going to jeopardize most of the main cast on a consistent basis. But when you do, and then you jerk me around like that, it completely destroys the suspense.
Sure. Okay, well, you seem to be ranting, so let's get into the part where you can really rant.
Go for it.
Next storyline, Tyrese, Judith, Lizzie, and Mika. They're walking around in the woods. They stop for the night, and Judith is just crying up a storm. She's hungry. They try to give her food. Not surprising that Judith is alive. We talked about this in the Instant Cast. I know it was probably surprising for people who don't follow like the internet discussion boards pretty closely. Yeah, so maybe that works if you're not me in that instance. But Lizzie gives Mika a knife, which I guess may come into play later in the series. It certainly didn't this episode.
Right. Well, they're trying to set up like, there's one girl who's built for survival in this world, and there's one girl who's not. And it's an open question of, is the psychotic one built or is the relatively normal one built? I don't know. It's not an interesting question to me right now.
Yeah. They also hear walkers in the bush during this scene. And then we go to the next day where they find some grapes. They stop to change Judith, who's crying like a siren. A flock of birds finds them, and Mika runs off into the woods.
Right.
So this is the second time in 2 scenes where the bushes have shook, and they thought it was walkers. I think what they actually meant us to think here is that is Carol tracking them, following them around.
I mean, obviously she is.
Because otherwise Carol shows up out of fucking nowhere.
Right.
And that's not interesting.
Well, she pretty much did show out of fucking nowhere. And also, the story she's telling us is a pack of big lies.
Oh, sure.
And I'm not just talking about what she's been doing in the last few days or the last day, how she got back to the prison, how she saw Tyrese and the girls, all that stuff's an open question, which I assume they'll get to later. So I'm not going to rant. There's a lot of people that are like, what the fuck about, everything she said. But my thing is,
I could believe all that. There's nothing to disprove that.
Well, I mean, I think it's all bullshit, but I think it's the bullshit because she didn't know what Tyrese knew. And, she just kind of wanted to get a feel of the situation. And, she was like saying stuff and then seeing what Tyrese would say and then basing her story on that. Yeah. I'm assuming in next episode or two we'll get some more explanations about what exactly she did after Rick banished her.
Okay.
Because it'd be hilarious if it basically she managed to catch her car on fire within 24 hours of being banished and then just kind of went back to the prison and hung out hoping for someone to come outside the gate so she could be like, Rick's not being fair. He's a dick. You should let me back in. Or hey, has Lizzie killed anybody yet? You should let me back in so I could deal with that. Because it's just a matter of time, people. It's just a matter of time.
That girl is crazy.
I tried to hide the other bodies and take the fall for her, but, in retrospect, that wasn't such a hot idea since she's just going to kill again and again.
Lizzie's actually...
I have an apology.
Acting a little weird in this scene, too. You have an apology?
I have resolved from this point forward to never badmouth a child actor again. When I was listening to Instant Cast, that's the one part that I thought was cringeworthy is how mean I was to that little girl. And I really apologize because one thing that stuck with me, I've become a fan of Will Wheaton. When I originally watched him Star Trek Next Generation, I thought he was the worst fucking thing in the world. And Wesley Crusher was, by and large, the worst fucking thing on the show. But it wasn't Will Wheaton's fault. Will Wheaton was a kid saying the lines that some fucking adult was putting in his mouth that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Didn't know how to write for a character, didn't know how to come up with plausible situations for a character, didn't know how to put makeup on a kid. Didn't know. I mean, he didn't pick those clothes. He didn't pick those lines. He didn't pick the stories. He just was trying to do the best he could and having fun on his really fucking awesome set. So I don't fault any of these girls for what happens here. I fault the writers I fault the casting people, and I fault the writers for seeing what they're capable of delivering at their age and writing material that's beyond them anyway. And I fault the director for being satisfied with that take. When they see stuff as written wasn't working, they should have gotten a powwow with the writers and figured something out. Some of this, I think, is if I recall correctly, the writers are in L.A. and the actors are in Georgia, so it could be a matter of they're just no communication. So if something's not written, working as written, they're just fucked, and they can only reshoot certain things, and they got to be big things. They got to pick their battle. But I apologize for being that mean to that little girl. That was uncalled for, and my resolve to never do it again on Bald Move.
Okay. That is a very fair thing to do. I was actually cringing a little bit when you said it on the podcast because I don't think those girls are as bad as you had said before.
Well, speak up, you dick. You're sitting there making me look like an asshole.
but on the second watch through, I actually thought they were slightly worse.
It's a problem. But
it's not their problem, is what you're saying.
No. It's like if I told my son to go rebuild the carburetor of my motorcycle and he fucked it up, I can only be mad at myself because he's not old enough to do that. He wasn't trained properly, and I'm just an asshole if I set him up to fail. And I think the writers and directors on The Walking Dead are those kind of assholes. They kind of got away with it last week with Chandler Riggs because he's matured to the point that he can at least hold his own and do an average job. It wasn't as powerful as it could have been, but it wasn't just a travesty. This scene, if you're going to have a 12-year-old girl murder bunny rabbits, you have to play that material pretty fucking carefully to keep it from just being laughable or gross. If you're
how about when she... No, go ahead. Sorry.
If you're going to have a 12-year-old girl smother a baby, you have to have like you have to have Steven Spielberg directing what's her name from E.T. Drew Barrymore. You have to have one of the best directors in the world directing one of the
Dakota Fanning.
Or Dakota, someone with a child with unusual precocious range to pull that kind of material off. If you don't, you should adapt it until it works, because and I don't want to get spoilery, but they don't have this problem in the comic book. And again, I wonder, it's like, if you've got these variables that you're juggling, why do you decide to change it up into a way that doesn't seem to favor, and it's like, I just, sure. if you're one of the ones that emailed me and said, I thought this was a solid episode, I'm not going to really debate you, but you can't tell me that the performance that this character put on the screen was good. I just,
sure.
I'm
with you.
I can't, unless this is the only television show you watch on a regular basis, aside from like Jersey Shore and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and MTV's Real World Road Rules Challenge. This cannot be defined as good, compelling drama. This particular scene.
We're done. We're done talking about this. You're
cutting
like 10
me
minutes
off?
on
Okay.
This. I'm cutting you off. You have said enough about this. We need to move on. Tyrese hears screaming in the woods, and he leaves Lizzie and Mika back to back to fend for themselves while he runs off to help these people.
Can I spend 10 minutes on this?
We're going to spend at least 2 minutes on this,
okay,
because this is by far Idiot Survivor of the Week, without a doubt, goes to Tyrese this week, because leaving those girls there is in no world a sane decision.
No.
It's an impossibility that he would make that decision. He takes them with him every time.
Yes. He might tell them as he gets closer to the thing, hang back. Like, stay back like 50 feet. Do not let me out of your sight. But stay back so, and if you see Walker, all that stuff. But no, leaving them there with that baby.
It makes me angry. It insults my intelligence. And this scene, more than any scene in the episode, pissed me off.
Okay, well, good. I'll let you go. I'll let you take this one, Jim.
I've said about all I want to say on it. If you can't grasp the concept that leaving two girls back to back in the woods and running off to an unknown location towards an unknown situation is a good idea or is a bad idea, then you're crazy. I can't explain it to you.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of really good listener takes on that I don't want to step on their toes, and they can give them a little legs to rant to. But yeah, it's a shame, because the only reason they did that is so she could smother the baby. And
yes, that and Carol.
And it makes Tyrese look like a fucking idiot, which I am very upset with, because I'm a huge fan of the character and a huge fan of the actor portraying it. And like, if I ever get to meet Chad Coleman again, I'm going to ask him, did you debate at all when you're on the set about Tyrese really doing this? Is this the first time you've seen a baby? Is this the first time you've talked to a 11-year-old girl? Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Because it was no bueno, man.
No. The one thing I did like about this scene is when Lizzie tells Mika to tuck her shirt behind her knife. She picked that up from Carol.
Yep.
That's something she learned for survival. It's very smart.
Yep. No, that was great.
So good on Lizzie there.
And there again, it's not that she can't deliver material when she's called for. It's just that more often than not, the writers put her in a position that's just impossible to win. She's the zombie-loving, baby-hating psycho killer that doesn't exist in any kind of real life.
Sure. Okay. So Carol shows up while Tyrese is helping out these people that he's found. And they kind of talk about, like, where were you? And she gives some bullshit excuses, and they walk down the tracks a ways after talking to this guy, and they find out they find the sign that says Terminus, and those who arrive survive.
Well, one thing I wrote, I found out in my research is, did you know that Atlanta was originally going to be called Terminus, the city, because it was the termination point of the first, not transcontinental, but eastern to, I guess, whatever was the border of the country at the time, railroad. It's the termination point of the Atlantic City Railroad. That's what it was. So they called it Atlanta because Terminus sounds like a place you go and die.
Sure, yeah.
If that's the case, then could it be that the safe zone is actually back in Atlanta? And does that make any sense at all from what we've seen of Atlanta?
No, it doesn't really make any sense if there's a safe zone in Atlanta. We saw that thing overrun big time.
Okay, I just wondered because I know it was a historical artifact, but I can't see them going back to Atlanta.
Sure.
Okay.
So let's move on to Sasha, Bob, and Maggie here. Sasha's kind of patching up Bob after his gunshot wound. He's very, very happy to be alive. Sasha, not so much. Doesn't really care for life at this point. Maggie decides she's going back for Glenn, and Sasha and Bob follow her. They do a nice little shot here of Maggie's ring, so we know obviously exactly what she's thinking before she actually says it.
Can we stop her real quick?
There.
Why was Bob so obnoxiously happy?
I don't know. Was it just because he's alive? He made it out?
It seems like because they made some motions before the break that like he had his eyes on Sasha and maybe she wasn't totally unopposed to that. But it just seems like it makes Bob look like a giant dick because he's with a character who thinks that their brother might be dead, and another character who thinks her father and husband are dead, and probably sister too, and he's grinning like an idiot, like, "Ooh, I'm in the fine women survivors group." What the fuck, man? Again,
I don't know.
I like Bob as a character. God love his post-apocalyptic alcoholic soul, and I really love the actor, and I hate that they're making them look like an idiot.
Yeah, it's especially weird coming off of where he was last half season, where he was suicidal.
I mean, I get that you're happy to be alive, but show some sensitivity. Like, if he was 17 years old, I would buy that reaction. Him being a grown-ass man, it makes the character look foolish. And that's why one of the reasons I'm upset with this episode.
Okay. Well, they go back to find the bus, and they find it stopped along the road. It's full of walkers. They decide we're going to let them out one by one and kill them, and then Maggie goes inside and kills Glenn's stunt double.
Yep.
Even if the preview hasn't ruined this scene for you already, I still don't think it works. I don't think that you go into that bus, you see her kill somebody who from the back looks kind of like Glenn, and then they cut to commercial without ever showing Glenn.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't buy that.
You're right. It was set to fail on multiple levels.
Maggie, Laurie Cohan puts on a great performance here. I really believed it.
Indeed.
But I just knew what was up, and I was not impressed at all with that scene.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how to say it any better, man, because it just seems like there's at least 3 different ways you could, like a real survivor in that circumstance. I don't think their idea would be like, let's open up the door one by one and let the walkers come out. You know, it's like, couldn't you try looking through the, I don't know, windows of the bus?
Maybe, yeah.
And then, the whole way that is staged where, because I was reading on the internet trying to find out, like, how did that happen? And people are like, well, people in the back of the bus took rounds, they turned, and they overpowered. But, like, I see so much of that bullshit with zombie people. It's like, how does an army base get overrun? Well, Lieutenant Dumbfuck gets bit, and they take him back behind enemy lines, and then he arises, and he bites 2 other guys, and then zombies everywhere. It's like, okay. That seems pretty fucking stupid, but I'll buy it because nobody knows what zombies are, and it's the outbreak, and there's chaos. We're talking 1.5 to 2 years after the zombie apocalypse. you got one guy, two guys, three guys maybe to get bitten. Let's say they turn instantaneously, and there's 20 other people in that bus. Really, the whole bus is going to get bit and slaughtered? Really?
I know,
really?
man. I'm with you. It's really dumb, but it is, like you said, built into the zombie.
But it's horseshit
fiction.
because
Like,
we don't usually get
I agree.
we don't usually get into a zombie apocalypse that lasts this long. Usually we see the fall of man and like the immediate aftermath. They got to come up with better tropes, man. And they to me they have to like if the bus had slammed into a tree because they postulated that the driver got turned, if it flipped over down a ditch because it left control or like fugitive style, I believe that. But you can't just fucking have a vehicle pulled in the middle of the road at a stop and it's packed full of walkers and not have me go, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like Walking Dead has an opportunity to evolve the zombie genre a little bit, and I know that they try to do that by, introducing some character development and real emotional stakes in these episodes. I don't know that they've entirely accomplished their mission there, but they could also be pushing forward what a zombie is and what zombies can do and things like that, because they have now the spotlight. They are zombies as far as pop culture is concerned. So why not follow in Romero's lead and say, okay, here are the things that zombies can now do.
Sure.
That might be interesting.
And also just have
but they haven't addressed
and
that.
the survivors should grow in it. Like, we talked about last year, or these people are in a prison and they sleep with the doors wide open, even though you live in a world that at any time, like maybe you sleep with your lover or your children, but the whole prison block, it seems hard to believe. Just like it's hard to believe that these survivors who have gone through this exact same catastrophe where their numbers are cast to the wind wouldn't have a designated meetup area. Like, again, what goes on in that writing room, man? There's like 12 reasonably smart people. They can get dressed and put food in their mouth every day. Why doesn't someone
Wait. That's all it takes to be a writer? I'm going to sign up, man.
I'm just saying, they're probably even smarter than that. They can probably coordinate their clothing so they don't look like idiots, and they can master a word processor. It seems like that's something that they would think about, and it makes me think that either they're really, really stupider than I think, and I've read enough from them that I know that's not the case, or they don't care, or there's some external thing like arbitrary time limits or budgets that are forcing their hand, which I just checked. 15 fucking million people watched last night's episode.
Wow.
We got Hyundai pulling in all kinds of fucking money. Microsoft's throwing money their way. Like, I'm not talking like just advertise. I'm talking about Walking Dead specific ads. That's like big time money rolling in. That's like NFL money rolling in. And we have to put up with this shit? Like, I got to challenge the people that think that, like, why are we being so hard? Why aren't you guys demanding more from this show? They're about to spin off another show and further dilute this content, and you're okay with that? Then, shit, there's all kinds of amateur zombie shit on YouTube. Have a ball. I just don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are satisfied that this show looks good and has a lot of cool action, and that's fine. I mean, but I can get that in many, many other places. That's not what I was hoping for out of this show.
Well, the other thing is, like, looks good is debatable, because I think looking good from a special effects, this show's a little, I think, has maybe peaked and regressed in some areas because now they've discovered they can do digital blood and digital gore, and it's not quite working for me. But also, there's very little art in the way some of these shots are constructed. And that's part of...
You can't put it in everything.
I'm not talking about, like, Shane gazing at the lone walker in the field and that being evocative. I'm talking about just the nuts and bolts of editing and shot construction and the way you assemble a scene and the way you block it. And this, I was going to comment this on a later point, but I thought this episode was surprisingly ugly and unartful in that regard.
Yeah. A show that actually does that really freaking well, and it's not even close to the same genre, is Archer. Archer has like a lot of those connecting shots and a lot of lines that lead you from one scene to another.
Oh yeah,
really cool.
It's really tightly plotted. The other show that's absolutely crushing it, and this is another reason why maybe I'm a little crankier than normal, is True Detective.
Yeah.
You can say what you will about the plot. If you don't like it, you're not feeling it. But that fucking show is art laid on top of art, laid on top of art. And I was blinking back tears that I was watching The Walking Dead live when I could be watching True Detective live. You know.
Yep, that's our life, man. That's our lives.
It's our bed. We've made it. I'm going to lay in it.
All right. Speaking of beds, Glenn is knocked out during the prison scene from last season, and he wakes up on the second story of the prison, surrounded by walkers on the bottom, and he makes his way back into the cell. He picks up some ammo, picks up some supplies, a picture of Maggie, which he, stops and takes a look at for a moment, just to let us know what his idea is and where he's headed.
And again, Steve Young was given good material and knocked it out of the park. Excellent performance.
Yeah, really hit this scene well. He picks up some armor, too, which is freaking awesome. I love seeing that. I'm a little skeptical if he could have done the thing he did next, which is run out through all of these walkers.
Yeah,
but
Seppenwall called this Bat Glenn Begins or Batman. Yeah.
Okay.
Because because I wasn't really engaged with the episode, but when he drug out the armor, I was like, fuck yeah, he's going to bum rush these zombies.
Sure, and it reminded me of 28 Days Later, where the big dude has the armor, and he's a super badass in that thing. But Glenn's a little small for my taste. Like as far as like badasses in armor go, we'll see.
The thing is there again, did they really have to have him running through 40 zombies?
Not really.
Like it'd have been really cool to see him like bouncing off pinball stuff and just as believable. But I like the scene because it was Glenn being badass, and I'm willing to forgive. I'm just willing to accept that he went into Marshawn Lynch mode and powered through those guys. But I can understand certainly the many emails I got calling bullshit on that. And again, it's like I would have thought it was just as cool if there was half as many walkers bunched together twice as loose.
Sure.
And nobody would have been unsatisfied with that scene.
Yeah, it was fine. I don't really totally discredit it for that. So then he sees Tara sitting next to the tank, totally unnoticed by walkers, and he goes back for her. He kind of gives her a pep talk, gets her off her butt, and they rush out the prison gates. Now, why do you think Glenn goes back for her? Just because he feels bad? Because he goes up to her and he looks at her gun and he says, "You didn't even fire a shot." Is that him?
I think that's part of it. Is that him
deciding, okay, well, she didn't fight against us, so I'm going to take her with me?
I think that's part of it, but I also think that that's Glenn's character.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way he sees and values life. Yeah, it's one of his better features. I mean, he stuck his neck out to help Rick when he didn't have to, which is how we're on this show 4 seasons later. So, I kind of like that.
Okay. So then they're walking down the road, and Tara is kind of lamenting the fact that she trusted the governor, and she mentions that he killed an old man, which Glenn asks, "Hey, was that Herschel?" And she confirms, yeah, Herschel's dead. Pretty devastating to Glenn. That's rough because he respected this guy a lot.
Sure. Father-in-law. Did they actually get married?
I don't know if they had a ceremony or anything. I know he put the ring on her finger, and I think symbolically they certainly feel married.
Zombie apocalypse married?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, if you're going to do some sloppy bullshit episodes, one easy way to do that would be to have a Glenn and Maggie wedding episode. And I would actually give a lot of leeway to see something like that.
Oh, you think so? Just like an entire episode where they're just like, like the whole thing is a wedding? It's like a Twilight scene?
Like Daryl's gotten a bunch of white duct tape, and Michonne's made her a duct tape dress, and someone's found Glenn a tuxedo T-shirt. And
that would be terrible, man. That would be terrible.
But I'm saying it's the kind of terrible I could get behind. It's the kind of schlocky stuff that would put a smile on my face. If they're going to, they're going to do stupid shit, then do stupid shit that makes me happy. You can get back. You can get back to the random people sobbing and babies being killed and chunks being ripped out of people's deltoids and trapezius next week. But give me a very special episode of Walking Dead where these two fuckers get married. That's all I'm asking.
All right, that might happen. They're not dead yet, so.
But they're already
together.
proper zombie married apparently, so it's too late. Next time,
I don't know
when Carl and Beth 5 years from now on season 11 of The Walking Dead get married, you better fucking remember this, Gimple. We want to see a big wedding.
So we might be the wrong word there. So then a walker nearly gets Glenn, and Tara saves him. And then 3 people sneak up on them in a massive truck. I gotta say,
yes, that's what people are like. Why didn't you mention Abraham? And I'm like, okay, they perfectly staged a cover of The Walking Dead, but they did it with a stealth 2.5-ton fucking diesel military truck. Like, come the fuck on.
Yeah,
that's not cool. That's just stupid. Now, if Abraham had come in there like rammed over to zombies and come out shooting and stuff, that would have been cool.
Sure.
I'd have been, and then they popped the Charlie's Angel pose at the end with Mullet Man and Hot Girl and Chub and Tubby Abraham. I'd have been like, fuck yeah, I'm ready for next episode. But you can't just impress me by assembling 3 people that vaguely look like their characters into a comic book pose.
Yeah.
That's Aaron's soul. A wedding, sure, you can stage a wedding. That buys my loyalty. Comic book cover, not enough.
Yeah, this show sometimes almost feels like it's being made as a comic book because they don't know how to connect these single shots together, right? Like, how are we going to get from the shot where we see the walker behind Beth to the shot where it's biting on her neck? Well, I don't know. We're just going to have it walk up behind her, I guess. How do we get to the shot from where the truck rolls down the street to where they're standing outside the truck and they're surprised by it? Oh, I don't know. Just put them out there.
Maybe the problem is Chuck Adler is the one doing the storyboarding because his art for The Walking Dead is sometimes suspect, and I have the same problem. Like, what the fuck just happened there? Someone's foot punched someone's in the face, but then no, what? That person's shoulder can't bend that way. Maybe that's the problem. They're letting him do all the storyboards.
Could be. Zombie kill of the week goes to Tara for smashing this zombie's head in with the butt of the rifle. That was an impressive kill. The kill itself, not so much. The gore factor was just off the charts.
But there was 3 almost identical kills just like that. Like I would have given it to Maggie with the school bus.
I was thinking that one too, yeah. But there wasn't so much gore there.
Really? And then Daryl with the rifle butt. Or crossbow butt or whatever.
Which one was that?
Is where he pulped one of the dude's skulls.
All right, well, Tara gets it. I'm giving it to Tara because she may not be around long, and who knows if she'll get another shot at it.
All right. Fair enough. It's your deal.
Maggie's going to be around forever. She'll get plenty more awards.
I hate to tell you, clearly I haven't seen my spoiler notes for next week.
All right. That's it for the recap, man. Let's get to some pimping and then some feedback.
Of course, we are part of the Bald Move Network. You can find all of our content at baldmove.com. Please do check out our House of Cards coverage if you're into that kind of thing, if you're a Netflix subscriber. Also, don't forget about our affiliates, Personal Arrogance Crew. Big highlight this week, they talk about the Lego movie, which is fan-fucking-tastic. It's
I think I'm
most fun I've had. Most fun I've had with at a movie theater in probably a couple of years. And I had a 7-year-old son who's insane about Legos, and we came home and dumped our Legos in the middle of his room and played for hours. It's a guaranteed hit if you got kids, and if you don't, even better. Also, the Because Show. They talk about modern love, the philosophy of Gwyneth Paltrow, and the art of saying thanks but no thanks. Check them out. Don't forget Tom and Kelly holding things down at Up Yours Downstairs. They're in the prime of Up Yours Downstairs life